All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live with the GM for episode 5?
Episode 5, yeah.
And this is the first week back from Oshkosh or second week?
Second week. I lose track. I'm too busy.
That is true. We got a couple big announcements to make for the stream tonight. We have new visual aid to look at. It's still in its infancy. It's something that Scary Mofo is going to be working on, recreating and making sure that it's going to look good in the future. I've also talked to him today about possibly being our producer. So what are your thoughts about that? This is somebody that's going to be moving, all of our content to YouTube for people who want to watch on that platform, as well as moving the audio over to maybe even a Spotify or an Apple Music so that they can use the podcast feature there to download for free.
Yeah, Craig Butters is taking us to the next level. I love it.
Yep. I mean, that's something that he could have a passion in, and, who knows where this will go. One of the things that I forgot to mention, I think on the last episode, was we were live at J.J. Keller Field at Titan Stadium, and I was a little disappointed. We didn't have the best internet there at the stadium. So I think next year what we're going to have to do is download the raw footage that we collect from the game and then upload it to our viewers afterwards so that they get that full 720, 1080p experience. So the audio came through correctly, but if you go back and watch that, we had too many lags, too many stutters during the course of the game. It was pretty much unwatchable. But the audio came through perfectly.
Yeah, other people thought that game was unwatchable too, if you know what I mean.
Coming out spicy tonight.
Yeah, I'm fired up tonight, bud.
All right, so before we get started, as always, I already think this is a community-driven podcast, radio show, whatever you want to label us as, a Twitch stream. But Scary Mofo, we already gave you credit, and I want to give credit where credit's due to the creator of our theme song, Steamhammer 62. So I appreciate him for making this. And as always, here's the intro.
We're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna talk about sports. Things like chicken wings with little Larry and the cooks.
And I desperately need to make that louder next time. That's something that we need to work on. So
that's something that Craig needs to work on.
That could be true too. I need to help him out. So where do you want to get started? I mean, we got a big Oshkosh win this weekend. I think we labeled them last week. This was their last quote unquote preseason game of the year. Basically, the reason I say that is because this game was pretty much nullified by the loss last week.
Yeah.
So they needed to. They know what they have to do to win. Now they know what they have to do to make it to the playoffs. There's no way they're getting that large bid with a loss to a team that's out of their conference. So they need to win their conference.
Yeah, obviously you watched a lot of the majority of the game. Probably I didn't watch any of it hardly at all, to be honest with you. But from what I heard and saw in the stat column, it looked like they did pretty good. Got the offense moving. One thing, obviously, you want to clean up every week is having sacks and penalties. So
sure,
they had a few of those, and you want to clean those up moving forward, going into WEAC here coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, something that I wanted to point out is they started Kobe Berghammer right off the bat this week. So that was something that we were questioning. I thought maybe they would do a dual quarterback, which is one more time, since this game kind of didn't have the same impact as what it did in the past. But the final score was 44-14. You could tell right away that this team was they were out of their league, basically. This is I don't think they were as well coached as Oshkosh was. I don't think they had the talent that Oshkosh was, or that Oshkosh had. And And then it showed just, in penalty. Let's just look at the penalty. I thought during the course of the game there was a ton of penalties. I'm just looking here.
Easy on the penalties, bud.
Well, I mean, there was two. So there was 2 fumbles.
Those aren't penalties.
I know.
Come on. I told you I'm fired up tonight, bud.
8. Okay, so not terrible. So it was 8 penalties to 9 penalties. So for 57 yards, nothing big. Oshkosh controlled the time of possession. I thought the offense was clicking from the very beginning. The first quarter was they had a botch punt that went for safety, and then Oshkosh took over in the second quarter and scored 28 points in the second quarter. That's where it was just the blowout began. And then the third and fourth was kind of just garbage time for the rest of the game, I think.
I would say the bright side by looking at the stats was Berghammer pretty much going 20 for 22 with 223 and 3 TDs. So,
and that's what we were talking about last week. Is he started from the very beginning of the game, so I think he was able to find the rhythm and really take control of the game.
Yeah.
Let me. I'm gonna log into our chat here because it's failing to connect on my side. I just want to make sure that I'm getting.
Oh, there's probably all kinds of questions already.
Yep, there are. So I know that you had a story about this past weekend. Let's just go ahead and dive into that. I mean, there's not much to say about Oshkosh really because they have a bye this week and then they start WEAC football. So we'll get into that here in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a 3 days. 4 days pretty much. I mean, with me officiating football, I've had the bad luck lately for some reason. Friday night we had a 2.5 hour lightning delay. Didn't get started until 9:45.
Holy shit!
Got off the field at 11:49, something like that. Just absolutely crazy to play that late. And then so obviously storms rolled in, and I was called Saturday morning to go officiate Licking Heights and Heath, which obviously I did, and things were good. It was an LCL battle. Yep. Obviously a fight. Every time you play LCL teams, you always have bad blood, and you're always fighting and cuss words, and you know the whole jazz. And after the game, we got to the school. We're able to go down to our locker room area. Didn't have anybody there to let us in at the time. That's typical there.
Yep.
Usually you wait 3 to 5 minutes and then someone comes with a key and lets you in, which doesn't bother me. But during that time, the Heath Water Boys, a few of the Heath players, about 15 to 20 of them, were able to get coming back and got in the school. And all of a sudden, they started saying shots fired. Immediately.
Was this at the Heath game or was this at the...
This was at Heath at Licking Heights.
At Licking Heights.
Yeah, so it was at Licking Heights.
Okay.
So immediately my brain goes into oh crap mode, and obviously there's no coaches around, no administration for these kids that are already in the school, and we just have to keep them guys calmed down, get them into a safe place, which we did. We got them into their locker room.
In the middle of the field at this time, or was this?
No, we were in the school.
Okay.
We were already in the school. So, and obviously some of the players were already coming back into the school. So, thankfully, their locker room was unlocked. We were able to get them in there. A couple of the officials went in with them. I stood out, make sure if we could get other people in the room. We locked the door and everything like that. Because at that time, we had no idea what was going on. There was a deputy standing outside the door. Obviously, I didn't want to go too close at the time. But he was on his walkie-talkie trying to locate people and get people to the area where it was at, which was right outside the locker room area. So about 10, 15 minutes passed, and by that time, the rest of the Heath team, along with their coaching staff, came in a back door, came down the hallway and stuff. We were able to get them in the locker room, get a head count, and then Licking Heights followed suit pretty much right behind them. So it was pretty much a chaotic scene for about more chaotic outside than inside, because even at the field, supposedly they shut the gate immediately to keep everyone inside as soon as everything was going on outside, because it was outside the field area. It was out by the locker in school.
Sure.
There was obviously a couple pops. I don't know if those were gunshots or not yet. There's still a criminal investigation going on currently, inducing panic and all that nature. There was a lot of mace, pepper spray used. A few people went to the hospital that we know. So it was a very crazy scene.
I actually saw this on the news today. So
yes, it made the news finally. I'm glad for that, because it needs awareness. Things like this cannot happen.
Yeah.
You got to get player safety and kids away from, at the end of a game like that. You got to get teams off the field, get them in the locker rooms, and all that nature. But
was this at the end of the game or before the game started?
This was at the end of the game, after everything was done. So obviously for these kids, I mean, it's a big traumatic effect for those guys. Obviously, we still talked about it tonight at my middle school game, so even people brought it up. So, sorry about that. And then, oh crap, what's going on?
So basically, also what they said is this was an altercation between two Licking Heights people. This didn't even involve Heath. This was two Licking Heights people that got in some kind of altercation.
We do believe the kids that were in the altercation were right in front of us when we were approaching the school, because obviously it happened within that 3 to 5 minute window by the time we got into the school. And obviously those kids had to be around that area somewhere to start something up.
So they were kids and not adults?
Yes. And to our nature, what we were told before leaving was they were not Licking Heights students. They were from a different area that came over and caused a scene with Licking Heights students. But like I said, I mean, I'm thankful everyone was fine to a point. We got everyone safe. By the time everything calmed down, we started going into lockdown mode, if you say. I mean, we were even lockdown mode to begin with, and then we're like, how do we get Heath out of this school to get him out of here safe, get him on the buses, and get out of there?
Yeah.
So we got with the deputies and stuff, got their equipment bus loaded up close by. All of us officials and coaches and adults that were inside the school got all the equipment on for the kids. And then the buses pulled up close where we were able to get the players and the cheerleaders and the students on. So it's something I don't want to see a school experience again, especially at the end of a sporting event like that too. I mean, these kids were in tears. They didn't know what their friends were, what was going on outside. We didn't know what was going on outside. The two of the three water boys actually played for the Settlers 10U team last year, so obviously knew those kids. To see them crying and stuff and feared for their life, that was something I don't want to see again. But like I said, thankfully everyone was gay, and here we are today.
Did you say Did you say everybody was gay?
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's why I was laughing, Jay Halderton. I thought he. Anyways, you gotta thank the authorities at that point. I mean, I know cops get a lot of crap, but they were out there in the line of duty.
I mean that was the best part. Is the city of Pataskala, the sheriff's deputies came. There was a swarm of people in a hurry, calmed the situation down immediately. And I would say within that 20-25 minute window, by the time things started, things were normal. We didn't treat it as normal, though, just in case something else would have happened. We were still in that caution mode and able to get kids out there. So something I don't want to experience again.
Well, so what happened? So they had a lightning delay on Friday, right? And then the game got canceled?
The game, our game. Oh, you mean Licking Heights and Heath?
Yeah.
They got canceled Friday night.
And then so you had to resume on Saturday.
Correct. And we did the crew who was doing the game initially couldn't do it again due to work or whatever obligations they had. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up crew with certain people in our area. So we did a little patch-up cre went and did the game. So
who ended up winning the game?
Heath did. I forget the score, to be honest with you. Heath is actually a pretty decent football team.
Yeah.
They may win this small school division. Obviously, the only school they really have to get through that's probably going to have them trouble is Newark Catholic. Johnstown is way down this year. Probably the worst Johnstown team in 10 to 15 years. So
wow.
Heath is looking pretty good. We got them. I got them again here in 2 weeks.
Very good. Well, hopefully it's a much safer environment next time.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered wearing a helmet yourself and a bulletproof vest out on the field?
I've thought about it, and this is getting me there even more until something else more significant happens.
It is
probably
crazy
not.
that a referee doesn't have to wear, especially when you're inside the box. I don't know what that referee's called, but
Umpire.
The umpire. I thought the umpire is now behind the quarterback.
No, that's college.
Oh,
we're 5 officials in high school.
And how many in a college and pro?
College and pro have 7 or 8.
So I'm surprised they don't have to wear a helmet inside the box.
With
how many pick plays there are, and how many times you're in pretty much the shit.
It's just like tonight, my 8th grade game. I knocked a kid down because I was in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, came right across the middle and he fell flat.
And it's also because you're a stud.
That's right. I hurt like a crazy guy right now, but.
Also I was listening to something this week, a podcast, and they were talking about the referees in the NFL and how out of control the Titans versus Jaguars game was with all that hoopla that Tom Brady brought up about how he couldn't watch the game anymore.
I would say it is getting a little crazy, but that's the nature we live in. We're here about scoring points. Obviously, the calls lately have been holdings, but there was just read the article today where there was a conference call on Saturday before all the games on Sunday of, hey, let's get a little back. No more holding calls as much, and it dropped by like 4 holding calls a game this past Sunday. So
the argument was around. Obviously, the NFL is, a $1 billion company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't the referees a full-time position? It doesn't make sense.
It kind of is, but they also have different jobs as well. Majority of those NFL
then it's not a full-time
officials,
position, right?
It is. I mean, they have 2 full-time jobs because they can do it. Because majority of those NFL officials are lawyers, doctors, or whatever, where they're able to take. They have to take. I do believe they arrive Thursday evening. Thursday evening is when they arrive for a Sunday game. Because Friday they watch film all day and Saturday.
So I think that's where I think the disconnect is. I think how much better would these officials be if they were required to this be their only full-time position? Then they get paid handsomely, right? I mean, it's a $1 billion company.
I don't know the dollar figure, but I know they get taken care of pretty darn well. So
a couple $100,000 probably.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, just looking at baseball, obviously, but baseball plays more games, but those guys are true full-time guys where that's their job.
Sure.
But football, you're only having 16 games, so
they have to watch film, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the whole
week. They get graded and the whole 9 yards.
Sure. And then somebody else brought up the fact that why aren't more ex-NFL players becoming umpires and refs?
I think they're just tired. I think they're tired of the game, and I would say they don't like some of the rules that are put in play.
But if they would have a voice, right? If they became a referee.
Not really. I mean, you really don't have a voice unless you're on like a rules committee board or whatever.
Sure.
So, I mean, defensive guys especially aren't becoming referees because they absolutely hate all the rules there is. I mean, you can't touch a quarterback anymore. It's just terrible.
So Jay Halter 10 just confirmed. I appreciate it. The average NFL referee is $205K a year.
All right.
That's them as not required to be a full time. So I would say if with incentives and things of how well you're graded. I think they should bump that up, double it, and say you're a full-time referee now. You can't have another job.
Well, they probably get double between their travel costs because they don't have to pay any travel. They get a DM per day for food. I know, like Major League Baseball umpires get like $200 to $300. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's why
you're going to 5-star steakhouses.
Yeah, that's why. The dude that has the country song that you couldn't believe?
Yeah, screw that guy.
What is his name? Joe.
He needs to die. Joe West.
Joe West.
He needs to fall over.
That's why he's 400 pounds and he's a umpire.
If he's in one of these Indians games down the stretch, I'll shoot myself.
Wow, you heard it here first. So, but yeah, let's just wrap up Oshkosh football real quick. The big announcement. I think we're going to start having our circuit of guest speakers on, and I want to see. Our first one to kick it off has to be the coach, right?
Coach.
I want to bring him back in with you, the GM. Try to get him to open up more, maybe about the team. But even if
I don't think he will. But
no, he definitely won't. But I want to see him open up more with you as well as with our viewers and everything like that. So we're going to try to get the coach on next week or even later on this week and get him involved. And then that will kind of start our circuit. We got a couple of names that we're throwing out there. And TJ, I'll go on record right now as that offensive coordinator for the NFL that you wanted to bring on here possibly. Yeah, don't. Because my fandom will get in the way of that conversation, and it will turn into a shit show real fast. Because I am very upset. And
there's some struggles in the NFL, but that's why I said no NFL talk today.
We have to have NFL talk because one of the things
I'll lose my mind.
So first off, I realized today. Let's just break it down real quick. So the AFC North played all teams that are 3-0 right now, which is pretty crazy to think about. So the Browns played the Rams last night, who are 3-0. The Chiefs played the Ravens, who are now 3-0. The Bills played the Bengals, 3-0. And then the 49ers played the Steelers, 3-0. And so I thought out of those games, let's just talk about the AFC North. Baltimore Ravens are the real deal. I think they're the team to beat in the AFC North for sure.
I don't think so yet.
I think they definitely, when Lamar Jackson, he definitely made silly mistakes during the course of the game, but I think they were pretty well coached, and they hung with Patrick Mahomes, who is on a different level right now than
he's a freak.
Than any other quarterback in the league. I got to give credit where credit's due. I think the Bengals look really good. I think for an 0-3 team, I think Andy Dalton isn't as bad as what people are saying. I think John Doss, or is it Josh or John Doss?
John Doss has
had a lot of drop passes, but if AJ Green comes back, I think they could have an actual pretty good shot with an offense.
Going into yesterday, I saw because I watched the majority of the Bengals game, unfortunately. Going into yesterday, Andy Dalton had the second most passing yards in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean they've been lighting it up, and so it's.
They got to get over the hump.
John Ross. Thank you, Jay Halderton, for being engaged in the conversation. And then, and so I think, Andy Dalton, but his struggles has always been the playoffs, right? Can he lead them down the stretch?
He won't ever win a big game.
The Steelers, I'll give the pros first. The defense is a different defense when you have Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think he definitely added a spark to that defense, and you could clearly tell that he and T.J. Watt are the leaders on that defense and are the superstars.
Can I say something about that defense real quick, by the way? Because obviously I watched some of that game as well. I am utterly amazed how well Shazier is moving on the sideline during games now.
Yeah.
I do believe he will be back in the NFL within 2 years.
Stop it.
Trent, that dude is moving like he can go out there and play right now.
I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, I mean, he is. I am happy because Shazier is one of my favorite players ever.
What are we now? 2 years since the injury?
Yeah. Well, not fully 2 years. It's because it happened like week 12 of the 2007 or 18.
I mean, the dude's walking without any
17
things attached to him. He's walking.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And he's lifting weights and doing the whole 9 yards.
I am impressed, but I don't think any NFL team will take the chance on him, just because if you were the head coach that threw him out there and he gets re-injured, how could you live with yourself?
He would have to sign documentation, that's for sure.
Even so, though, like if he signed out all the documentation in the world and I was the coach and I sent him out there and he gets re-injured, I wouldn't. I mean, it would be hard to live with myself knowing that I threw him out on the field when I knew that maybe he wasn't ready.
All right, sorry for interrupting there.
But anyways, so Minkah Fitzpatrick, literally got signed on Tuesday and flew to Pittsburgh and just started reading the playbook. So he only had 4 days,
like 2 days, less than that because you flew out to San Fran.
Yeah, so he had like 2 to 3 days to actually prepare for this game, and he had an interception, a forced fumble, and then a few tackles. However, now let's flip to the negative side of it. The offense is terrible. One of the worst things I've ever seen. I got so sick and tired of seeing 0 and 1 yard passes that I almost had to turn the goddamn game off. When you have 5 turnovers in a game and you score 6 points off of it, that's a problem. That's a big problem. I don't care if you have a rookie quarterback, or not even a rookie. You have a guy who's just now starting for his first start, but they tried to protect him way too much. I think later on in the game when they started taking shots with him, and they started letting him move around a little bit, I think it got a little better. I think the defense for the front four for 49ers are pretty damn good. Nick Bosa is a stud. As big of a stud as his brother is. But it was bad. It's in the way I talk to is I'm 100% on the right track when I look at Mike Tomlin and saying he's a good coach. But at some point as the head coach, you got to protect yourself and be like, okay, something's not working here. Is it the defensive coordinator? Is it the offensive coordinator? Is it the personnel? So he's got to work.
Tough decisions to make when you're a head coach like that.
Yes, Jordan. We're going to talk about the Brownies here in a second. But okay. I mean, the Steelers are out of the playoff picture. Now it's put up or shut up. Let's see who could play football. And so I'm happy that they went to the younger roster. So they told Metcalf to sit the bench. They said, "You suck. You've dropped more. You've dropped more passes in the league than most people do in a whole season, and it's only week 2. So you're out of here." So they started the rookie from Toledo. And then, so there was a lot of changes. So I think the Steelers are put up or shut up time, trying to see who can play football. All right, so the Brownies. Here's what I got.
Let me dive into it.
Let me tell you this real quick about the Browns. I thought it was a very good game, and I think the Brownies gave you the script on how to beat the Rams. And I think
the Patriots gave you the script.
Well, yeah, but I think the Brownies confirmed it for you.
Correct.
And then I think the Rams gave you the script on how to beat the Browns.
Yeah.
Because I think, so from the Rams script to the Browns, basically the stat line last night was anytime that Baker Mayfield threw a pass that was...
Or he held on the ball for over 2 seconds.
Yeah, under 2.5 seconds, he was 13 for 18. For only like 105 yards. So you're working in a lot of screens, but with Jarvis Landry and Odell... You're going to, and eventually Kareem Hunt, you're going to be able to do that and get the ball in the playmaker's hands. Anytime he held the ball for greater than 2.5 seconds, he was like 5 for 19 with multiple sacks,
multiple throwaways,
and an interception. So I think something he's going to have to desperately work on this offseason because, to be frank, he hasn't been good this year.
There ain't no time for off season, bud.
Well, he's not going to learn it during the course of the year because that's just embedded in him. He always claims he's a Brett Favre man, and he's showing it. He's just trying to sling it out there, which is getting him in trouble a lot. But yeah. So go ahead and break it down. You're the Browns fan.
Well, going into it, I thought we had a shot, honestly. As bad as banged up we were in the secondary, you had a whole entire new secondary out there. Just 2 to 3 days of getting to know the playbook, the whole 9 yards, going up against one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, and one of those high-profile offenses.
Whoa.
What?
Give me your top 5 quarterbacks right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Mahomes. Goff's in there. Obviously not 1 through 5, but he's not 2, but he's in there. I would go Drew Brees when he's healthy. I would go Tom Brady as 4, and then there's another one in there.
Rodgers is so overrated.
Yes,
Rodgers is winning off of his defense right now, bud.
He's not my mix. One's not coming to me right now. No.
Dak?
I would say probably Dak, maybe. It's probably a coin flip on that next one in there. I wouldn't say Phillip because he can't win a big one. Carson, no. Can't win a big one yet. I don't put guys in my elite category until they can win big games. And Jared Goff showed he could win.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Wilson's in there. So Goff's up there with the big names.
Just because he had a good team around him last year.
He's got a good team. He can win he knows how to manage a team. He can win big games, get his team in position to win. That's what I look for a quarterback being elite.
Okay, continue with the.
So, anyways, we had a big secondary loss from the previous week of injuries and whatever else we had of vaginas or whatever else they had throughout the week. We had to replace the whole entire secondary, which did darn good. Our defensive line was our big plus on the defensive side of the ball, and they rarely showed up last night, which was unexpected. Myles Garrett is usually a bigger force than what he was last night, sack-wise and penalty-wise. Thank God he didn't have a lot of penalties last night. Has cleaned that up a little bit, thankfully. But the biggest side is the offense. You got to go score points. I'm a fan of Freddie Kitchens. I still am. I believe in the guy. I think last night showed that they were overpowered up front. We don't have one of the greatest offensive lines yet. We went out and build around other areas first, which I didn't like because you got to keep Baker healthy. It don't matter who you got on the outside. You got to have an offensive line that can keep a quarterback upright. So that showed last night against one of the top elite pass rushing teams with Donald in there. He's a havoc. He's a freak. So that kind of hurt. There's a lot of talk going on of a couple game situations that should have been different. I would bring up the first one, the 4th and 9 call of the draw.
Which he already came out and said that was.
He already said last night that it was a bad call on himself.
It was.
He kicks himself in the butt.
It was a stupid call. It was the only time that a fourth and 5 or over has been called in the last 12 years.
Correct. I think we should have went to another slant. One of those quick slants to OBJ or any of those guys. I mean, any of those guys can catch a ball on a slant, as it's been shown. But I'd say that was one of the calls. Another one, as the officiating side, one that kind of people have head scratched a little bit was that 2nd and 9 where we had an eligible man downfield, and then an obvious pass interference call where he shoved him out of bounds before he even caught it.
Sure.
You could not challenge that play because he was an ineligible receiver. So he wasn't technically a receiver going downfield.
But didn't they address that during the play that would just offset the penalty?
It would go back to 2nd and 9, yes. But I
thought it would still be a loss of down, but it would offset the penalty.
it would offset both penalties, and you would replay the down, which was 2nd and 9.
So why wouldn't he challenge if he knows it was going to be a win?
We couldn't because he was an eligible player downfield. So he wasn't truly a receiver going downfield, so you can't have offensive pass interference on an ineligible receiver. So the officials even talked to him during that because he was ready to challenge it.
Why would that be a problem with the officiating? That was a problem with the coaching, right?
No, not even because you can't challenge it.
Yeah. So what was the problem with it?
So people were upset that he didn't throw his challenge flag, which people don't realize he couldn't throw his challenge flag.
So you're defending.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering, because I was like, at best, I thought it was a loss of down, but it would offset the penalty.
You'd replay the down if you could have challenged it, because it was going to be an obvious pass interference call, but he couldn't because he was the one ineligibly downfield. So,
and on the sideline like that, do you think the refs talk to the coach and kind of tell him the situation?
Yeah, because they all have the microphones in the ears in, and there's a lot of people that talk to those officials during the game, people upstairs and the whole 9 yards. So obviously they were over there talking to Freddie during that stuff because he was going to challenge it. He already had the red flag out, but they told me obviously couldn't because the ineligible guy downfield was the guy who had pass interference on. So I would say the last thing was, we were in a position and we got all the way down there, and you were having success running the football. And you have Nick Chubb, who was absolutely manhandling him in the second half of getting 5 yards a pop pretty much.
Sure.
And you didn't even hand it off once with 3 timeouts in your hip pocket.
Yep.
That's something else that he's admitted that he kicks himself in the butt right now for not doing. But rookie head coach, big game, big stage against one of the best NFC teams. You were there to win it. You had a shot to tie. I think if we would have got the touchdown, I think we would have went for 2 and got it. But a rookie head coach, big stage, team that's still growing. You obviously high expectations for this team coming in, but earlier in these podcasts, I said the AFC North goes through Pittsburgh still until the Browns
can Greg.
Hey, Trent, until you dethrone the king, it goes through Pittsburgh. Okay. Now, does it look like Baltimore right now? Yes.
Steelers are 5 games out of winning the division.
Trent, you're only 2 games out of first place. If you win this week, and once the Browns beat the freaking Ravens finally, you're only a game out. So, the AFC North is crazy.
It is crazy.
If the Browns can get the Ravens this week, it opens up the door for all of us.
Yeah, well, I definitely think that the Browns, one of the things is the Browns are definitely more competitive. You're getting beat up at the chat right now.
I don't care.
I'm
not a homer. We're a mediocre football team.
I think the Browns' best shot is wild card.
Yeah, I would say probably wild card because
my question for the Browns is, is your window small because of all the? You guys have superstars on your team, so eventually those superstars are going to have to be paid, starting with Myles Garrett, right?
Yeah. He's a couple more years down the line. I don't think the window's small. What are you getting to? Of Freddie being fired, or?
Well, yeah, you got.
Or the window small of like taking a chance on the playoffs and.
Well, no,
all that.
Is it small because you have all these superstar players? Eventually, they're gonna become free agents, and you have to get them re-signed.
I trust in Dorsey of managing a team like that. He's been through that and knows how to handle it. I just think there was a lot of hype coming into this season, and like we mentioned just a little bit ago, we've played some tough teams. The AFC North has. The Titans just came into Cleveland and smacked us in the mouth. Mm-hmm. We didn't know what to do, and then obviously we got the win against the lousy Jets. And then you played the best NFC team, second best NFC team probably, behind the Cowboys right now.
Yep.
You can't. You were there to win it.
What do you think
you had
the
a shot
window
to
is
tie
for?
it, and
What do you think the window is for Freddie Kitchens? I mean, do you think he's John Dorsey's guy, or do you think
I think he's John Dorsey's guy. Obviously, that dictates on how the rest of the season plays out. Obviously, you can't look in the future. You just gotta go week by week. I'd say right now he's your man for a couple more years at least.
Well, that's good that you say that because I mean, you have the Steelers' way of thinking it, where they're gonna. It doesn't matter what you do in an organization. They're going to keep you as a head coach. They've only had, 4 head coaches in the last 40 years? And so
ultimately, it's these players who got to go play for that coach.
Yeah.
As long as the players are buying into the coach, leave the coach there, make these players go perform. They're the ones getting the big paycheck. And they can't block anybody or go and catch passes or whatever. They got to step up themselves for their coaches.
All right, let's transition.
Yes, please.
Wild card. I got it. I have it. I've been having it up on the banner on top for about the last 10 minutes.
I'll break it down I don't even see the page. I can break it down for you.
Well, you got Oakland, Tampa,
Oakland's up
Cleveland.
2 games with Tampa and Cleveland tied 2 games behind Oakland.
That's correct.
Currently, Tampa is winning against the Boston Red Sox. Indians have a night off, so the Rays will probably go up a half game tonight. We go to Chicago starting tomorrow for a 3-game series, where we'll make up the half game on Thursday because the Rays don't play on Thursday. They got 2 games coming up against the Yankees. Today's Monday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, tomorrow and Wednesday the Rays play the Yankees. So down in Tampa Bay, but Yankees just clinched the division a couple days ago, so I don't think they're going to play anybody. I looked at their starting rotation today. They're still undecided on who they're throwing. So, but that's where we're at. 6 games to go.
You got the Indians 7-3 in their last 10 games, and you have Tampa Bay at 5-5. Would you say Indians are the hotter team going into these final 6 games?
I wouldn't say the hotter team, but I mean we're pretty both a similar type of team. I think we have good pitching. We got good young hitters. Indians are definitely going to get a boost starting tomorrow. Jose Ramirez is coming off the DL and getting back in there. So he's been out for about a month and 2 weeks, somewhere in that nature. So he's finally going to be back. That's going to be a big boost for us. Brad Hand, our closer, is, I think, going to be back into the mix. If he can get back to being Brad Hand and Jose Ramirez being Jose, the Indians are going to wreak havoc in the AL playoffs.
Whew. Hot take.
I'm taking it to the bank. We got the pitching that can match.
Last week you were all sad about how many injuries the Indians have. What's the 1 week turnaround?
They're getting healthier now, and I mean, I didn't think Jose had a shot to come back the regular season, but they were talking yesterday. He's going to be ready starting tomorrow night, so we'll see. I mean, going out, obviously, you got to sweep Chicago. You got to go 5-1 in these next 6 games to have a shot, I think, to put yourself in a good position. If you go 4-2, you better start praying for some help. But I also did find out if the Indians and Rays tie, there is no tiebreaker. You play in a one game playing game for the second wild card spot.
Because that happened a couple years ago. You had a playing game to
I kind of forgot about that because obviously the Rays beat us 5 out of the 6 games we played them this year. So the Indians are on a tight road schedule, if you say. They were joking through the Indians' website.
The home game though?
Tampa Bay will because they hold the head-to-head.
Okay.
So a few of the Indian sites, the Indians are going on the road tomorrow to Chicago, and they have packed bags for 3 weeks to be on the road, because obviously you're going from Chicago to Washington to finish the season, and potentially to Tampa Bay on next Monday, then hopefully to Oakland on that Tuesday, and then either New York or Houston.
Jay Halter 10, I would like to tell you to suck a dick.
Yeah, amen to that. A douche canoe.
Yeah, I mean, he thinks he could come in here and give us the itinerary.
Reds breakdown.
Yeah, give us the itinerary for what we need to talk about. And how many quarters did he watch of the Oshkosh game?
Not even one.
Not even one.
He thinks he's a loyal fan or something. But anyways, I think the Indians are going to make the playoffs. I would like to be. I don't want to play in a playing game though. I would like to have it clinched by. I'd like to clinch it on Saturday, so that way we can rest everyone Sunday.
Game is a playing game, correct?
Correct, but I wouldn't want back-to-back pressure games like that because obviously that attacks your pitching in a hurry. I mean, I'm going to say this now. Obviously Tampa Bay or Cleveland's going to be in the second wild card spot. Whoever is in that second wild card spot is going to the ALCS. We're going to beat the number one seed.
What's Tampa Bay's head-to-head record against the Yankees?
They are about average with them. They're about 50-50. We both have strong pitching rotations, starting-wise, and a great bullpen. That's what you need to beat good offenses.
So what do you think? What do you think in the playoffs about teams switching over to that 4 innings 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1?
That's kind of what you may see if Cleveland gets in, or that's what you'll see out of Cleveland and Tampa Bay, I think.
Do you think that taxes your bullpen too much
I don't think so.
A 7-game series?
Not the way the playoffs are laid out. You have off days in there. You have 2 to 3 days off once in a while, depending on travel or I think the AL team will have the decision to make for the playoffs of having that third day off. So
what is your strategy for the Settlers when you went in? Was it the 4-1-1-1? Or was it let's see how long we could ride our starting pitcher?
You ride the horse.
Ride the horse.
You ride the horse, and he got us there. And I told the coaches even before the final game, I said, obviously you got our 3 horses ready that got us here out of the bullpen, and you ride them.
What do you think about strong pitching or strong hitting? What do you like to build your team around?
I take pitching.
Is that way you try to heavily recruit?
I don't have. It's hard to recruit for summer college baseball pitching because you're blindfolded because most of these coaches shut players down. So you just got to take guys that they send to you that are going to be able to pitch for you during the summer. So
for the GM spot, you're finding, your pitching is going to be what it is, but you're going to look for good hitting.
Yeah, you got some hitters. Obviously, you can find those 2 to 3 arms in there that can mow guys down the back end of your bullpen. So that's kind of what we're
looking forward a week. When we get Coach A. Archer on, I want to talk to him about one thing, and it's recruiting. I heard this today. It was one of the GMs for an NFL team said they love to recruit people from Georgia football. And the reason why, it was because Georgia's head coach at the time, was a really good recruiter, but not a very good coach. So
Gotcha.
He was good at finding raw talent, and they would have raw talent. And then when those players were ready to enter the NFL draft, they knew that there was a level of peak. Whereas any kid that comes to Alabama, you know what their peak is because Nick Saban knows how to coach a football team.
I think that's where you see a lot of those schools, the Alabamas, the Georgia, the Ohio States. You see a lot of those guys taken because these NFL coaches know how well prepared they are.
Well, that was
you even
the thing
see a
with
lot
Georgia.
See a lot of Iowa guys because of Kirk Ferentz out there. He's an NFL coach.
Well, that was the thing with the Georgia guys was they know they could get more out of with good coaching. They know they could get more out of the players. So the players had the raw talent, but they weren't coached well.
That's kind of what I look for too out of summer college baseball is finding winners and finding raw talent. So
that's what I wanted to ask Coach Archer. Does he see himself a better coach or a better recruiter? I think we have our answers. I know that the GM TJ Lyons sees himself as a recruiter.
Amen to that.
I mean, if the X's and O's might not come naturally, to you as much as it does the coach. I think the coach will peg himself as a better coach. As
coach loves to get his X and O's down.
Yeah, I think he's somebody who thinks he can, get the most efficiency out of that player. So that's something to look forward to. What are you struggling with, bud?
Razor winning 7-4, still bottom 7.
So that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's why he's gleaming over. This guy is dedicated to that Indians, that Chief Wahoo.
Oh, it's on the TV for the next 6 days straight. No questions asked.
Got 2 TVs going, ready to.
Even Friday night when I get in the locker room at halftime, my phone will be turned on. I'll be checking the score.
Governor's Cup. Who ended up winning?
And Clippers won the Governor's Cup, but they lost the AAA championship 3-0, I think. They gave up 3 runs on the first inning.
Is that a single game or is that a
series?
series?
That's a 1-game do or die.
Who did they lose to?
The Pawtucket team, which is a Giants affiliate.
I thought Pawtucket was Boston.
No. Sacramento, sorry. Not Pawtucket, Jesus.
I was gonna say. Okay.
Sacramento team, which is the Giants affiliate.
Yeah. How often does AAA go out west or vice versa?
They don't go out west because you have the IL and the PCL. International League stays on the east side, obviously, and then the PCL is the Pacific Coast League.
The Piss League.
Jesus. I can't talk tonight.
Hey, you said you were fired up. Did you get everything off your chest?
I think so, maybe.
What else is there left to talk about?
I think I'll save a little bit for Coach whenever we get him on here next couple days. But I want to see, going back to Oshkosh football, I want to see what this team's made of. It's go time. I purposely did not watch last week's game because it didn't mean anything to me. That game means nothing. It's a scrimmage, in my opinion, because you aren't going in as an at-large team. You got to go win the WEAC. So I'd like to get his breakdown on the rest of the league of what they're looking at. Obviously, I think he could spill a little bit of that, of how good the other teams are, because we just see rankings and scores and Jesus. Yeah. By the way, looking at that schedule, are we going to potentially, obviously this dictates on when your little one arrives, dictate potentially doing a game from your house?
Yeah, definitely. That's something that I was that I want to do. I think that's going to be a lot easier stream because we could use Titan TV for.
Mofo's got to get on that for us.
We could use Titan TV for the footage, and then we can kind of put it on mute and do the exact same thing and announce. We're obviously not going to get a feel of the sidelines like we did when we were live. We won't get a feel of kind of the mood of the team because we weren't there the night before.
Yeah.
But I love the pitch game, and then something else that I did want to mention out there, ladies and gentlemen, that's possibly in the works is Lil Larry and the Coach live from Ohio Stadium. So I've reached out a couple times to the marketing director for the Ohio State Athletics, and
for football. You're crazy.
And he said that we definitely won't be able to get season media passes, but we will be able to possibly get a single game. So
for next season.
For this year, for against Michigan State.
Not a shot for a Big Ten game,
for Michigan State is what I'm working on.
Not a shot.
And so if we could get Little Larry and the Coach live from Michigan State at 7:30 under the lights, I think this will be definitely be the highlight of this podcast, and I hope we get a lot more viewers involved.
If we get into that game, I would make a hefty donation to this podcast. Take us to the next level. Because there ain't no way in hell they're letting your stupid ass into that press box.
Well, see it when we believe it. I would like to do start a hashtag LLATC 2OSU.
Why don't we try to get in the Blue Jackets maybe, bud?
We are. That was the other announcement that I have. I reached out to their person, and we're working on getting to. But there it is. So go ahead and put that out on Twitter.
Oh boy!
But we also have. I've been working with the marketing director for the Columbus Blue Jackets on getting us into the press box for a couple of their games.
'Cause you're a big hockey fan now, bud.
I am. Blue Jackets, I think, are going to have a rough year. They have a lot of points that they need to make up for Artemi Panarin leaving. I think that we're going to be fine between the net. I think Elvis is going to be the man to replace.
Elvis.
That's his first name.
I love it. Yeah.
He was a monster for the Lake Erie Monsters.
That's right.
But I think he's going to be able to replace. And I think, a big loss as well was Matt Duchene.
Yeah.
I think the Blue Jackets got him at the trade deadline thinking they would be able to re-sign him. And unfortunately, he wanted to go to Nashville for some reason. So that was a big loss. But I think they didn't make enough moves. I think they're going to try to see what their youth is all about. See who the leaders are, like Cam Atkinson.
They've been pretty successful
Jones.
up there at Cleveland, so the Monsters have. So
yeah,
you just don't have ruggish talent coming. You have pretty darn good talent.
Yep, and but they're pretty similar to how the Indians function, right? They have a
easy big fella.
What I'm just saying, they have a good minor league team, and
Yeah.
then they bring it up through the pipeline and see the talent that they have. They don't need to make a whole lot of trades.
That's because Terry Francona is a beast.
Yep, and I also, so is the Blue Jackets coach. So,
Torg's a little shaky still for me.
He won with the hold on, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Francona has had 15 consecutive winning seasons, and that's being in Cleveland, for God's sake. Come on.
Hey, you're an Indians fan. Wouldn't you expect that?
We're bad in Cleveland, Trent. You know this.
What do you think about Michigan?
Oof. Wow. We went there tonight. I think Hardball's on the hot seat already. I don't think he may not last to the game.
I was listening to Tiki
They're
and
bad.
Tierney today, and they were
Obviously, Wisconsin's good though. I think
Wisconsin's damn
Wisconsin. We're going to have some trouble. I think, but the good thing about Wisconsin is as long as we can put up points and not have quick 3 and outs, you can beat Wisconsin because they just control the ball, they control the clock, and they make you grind it out. So.
Well, I want to let's go back to Michigan real quick. So one of the arguments about Michigan, right, is I think Harbaugh's trying to bring the same concept that he had at Stanford with him to Michigan, where you have to have upstanding citizens, and you're not there to just win football games. You're also there to have a student athlete, because Michigan's a little bit of a harder school in the Big Ten to get into. But at the same time, you in the Big Ten to compete with the Ohio State University, Michigan State, and Penn State, you're going to have to compete in that grinder. You're going to have to recruit 4 wins. So I respect the fact that he's trying to get upstanding citizens, but at the same time, you're going to have to get athletes to compete.
I gotta see who else they have left. I know they have Notre Dame on their schedule.
Yeah, so they have Indiana, or no, they have Rutgers next week, and then they go to Michigan State.
They better put it to Rutgers or he's gonna be in trouble.
No. They go to Michigan State and then Notre Dame. That's their.
No, they got
3 weeks.
Rutgers next week.
Yeah, Rutgers, Michigan State, Notre Dame, right?
I'm pulling it up. They got Iowa. in
Iowa.
there.
And
they got Rutgers, Iowa, Illinois, and then the Gatlin starts. You got at Penn State, home against Notre Dame, at Maryland, which obviously can put up points when they want.
Maryland's getting better.
Then home with Michigan State, at Indiana, which that could be the game Indiana finally gets over a hump maybe. And then us, close it out. They could potentially lose their last 6 games.
It's a Gatling gun, by the way, Jay Halder. It means you're going to get hit with a lot of bullets.
Just kind of like you did. You remember that?
Yep. So
what they saying?
I think you're confusing Gatling gun with gauntlet.
No, I said gauntlet. I have my own dictionary. You guys know this. This is why the show is good.
That is. Because we would have never got that from the coach. We would have got a yeah and an
I would say look at Michigan's schedule. They have 2 to 3 wins at best remaining.
So I'm just ready for.
That's brutal.
Who's Ohio State have this week?
Nebraska, bud.
That's right.
It's a trap game. I usually say a trap game quite a bit, but night game, college game days there. Unfortunately, Lee Corso is going to pick the Buckeyes, and Jay Halder, obviously you can throw out the facts. How many times Lee Corso has picked the Buckeyes and we lose?
Well, that's the problem. I think that finally you're going to have a challenge for the Buckeyes and see what Ryan Day, how well he's coached them. Because
I finally won a game that we're need to win in the second half.
Yes, because
we need one of these games before a bigger game coming up.
Well, that's the problem.
Because we're at Nebraska, home with Sparty, at Northwestern, which is a Friday night short week, and then Wisconsin.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to ask then is what's your thoughts about the NCAA and Clemson playing the sister school of the blind, Alabama playing Citadel, for God's sakes, Ohio State playing whoever, the
Miami, Ohio,
deaf, dumb, and blind school. I mean, it's almost ridiculous to watch. You can't, literally unwatchable, actually. I didn't even watch the Ohio State game. The only reason I listened to the Ohio State game was because of Paul Keel's voice sounds like velvet.
That's right. It's the Paul Keels.
Yep.
Obviously, you got to play those teams, though, because those lower teams need to play those teams because, like, Miami, Ohio needs to play Ohio State because they get a paycheck from Ohio State.
But that's why that team needs to play us.
Correct.
There's no reason for Ohio State have to say we're going to play this team.
Correct, but
we need to play competitive. NCAA needs to step in, and they need to say you have to play good caliber teams. If you're,
I would like to see more conferences play each other, sort of like we used to have the Big Ten and Pac-12.
Yep. Play
each other every week. We don't have that this year now.
We're playing the fucking MAC, for God's sake.
Yeah. So I would kind of like to see those big conferences so that way we can eliminate one of those games maybe. You can't eliminate them all, I don't think, but you can eliminate the majority of them. You could have the Big Ten play the SEC. You can, because obviously you have your 6 conferences, your 5 Power 5s, and then you can throw in another one, rotate it in, so that way those schools, sort of like a Conference USA or whatever, can play a big dog once in a while. Rotate it in, sort of do it like the Big Ten ACC Challenge in basketball, of where the best team the previous year plays that conference's best team the following year.
Couple stat lines here coming in from our viewers. Lee Corso is 19-8 when picking the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Those 8 losses are guaranteed night games. Those are deadly.
Guaranteed night games. You've heard it here first. Then number 2 is Ohio State is already favored by 17.5 points. You think?
If I was a bet man, I would take Nebraska.
You're taking the under there.
Yeah.
And then
that's crazy.
The last viewer said, "What about a preseason in the NCAA?"
Preseason football?
Preseason football in the NCAA.
Oh God, no.
Why not?
NFL needs to get rid of the preseason too.
Here's my thought process.
That's terrible.
Here's how I think the NCAA fixes the problem that we're in right now. Conference play only. You play 8 games plus your championship game. Go right into a college playoff, 25 or 28 to 32 teams.
I would make it large like that. Yeah, that'd be good.
Because 32 teams is what, 4 or 5 to make it to the championship. So
you could do 64. Games. You could add another one in there.
You got to make sure that you get the conference champions, though, right?
Yeah, they'll get in. Obviously, you could make it like the four conference champions would get buys. You could do something like that, maybe, or something to that nature. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can work it. I think we will see that happen. The expansion of the playoffs down the road.
It's just such a slow process. Why is it not 8? I mean, people have bitched every year since playoffs started.
Well, the conference champion needs to get in, that's for sure, and then would be 5
conference.
I wouldn't say every conference.
5. Okay.
All Power 5 conferences, and then have 3 at-large bids. I would say maybe one of those 3 goes to another conference champion, like a MAC or whoever.
If you go to a 32 team playoff, right? You would have zero argument of who the national championship is.
You would still have argument who gets in and who doesn't. You'll always have that because of the bubble line.
Yes,
which people don't understand. They think just increasing the playoffs going to eliminate of the argument of who gets in and who doesn't. Well, who gets in at 8 and who is left out at 9
you're less likely to complain. Like you're not gonna have an undefeated team at 32, right?
Absolutely not. But I mean, you could.
That's the argument. No, I mean Boise State. If they run the table, they'll go 12-0 and finish in the top 15 in the country. So they're definitely in, and that's the only really the true complaint that you have every year is, hey, we didn't get in and we were undefeated. Nobody in the country beat us. I mean, look at UCF for God's sakes. So
I think it puts a priority on winning your conference, which is good. Because obviously you look at the NCAA tournament in basketball, that's what they do is make that priority, winning your conference. Because obviously you see 27-2 or whatever records sometimes not making the tournament because they lost their conference championship.
What do you think about in its current state, or even if they extend to 8 teams? What does Notre Dame have to do in order to get in?
Notre Dame still has a shot, unfortunately. That's the bad thing right now. They played a damn good football team down there on the road and almost came away with a win. That was not something like the Big Ten needed to see, unfortunately.
So if they go 11-1, right?
They're gonna have a shot. If they go 11-1 and Ohio State's undefeated as the Big Ten champion.
Well, if Ohio State's undefeated, we're getting in.
I don't know, bud. The other teams are going to have to start losing. The SEC is the problem every single year because of all these people.
SEC gets in.
Clemson, they could get 2 guys in.
ACC gets in.
Yeah, SEC could get 2 in.
Undefeated Ohio State is an automatic get in.
You have to win good. You have to put style points up now.
And then it comes down to the Pac-12, Big 12, and Notre Dame.
Who does Notre Dame still have left? Let's see.
Michigan is one of them. USC is another.
Do they have Clemson this year?
Why would they play Clemson?
Because they're in the ACC.
But
they play that. Notre Dame plays that ACC conference schedule.
Notre Dame plays Virginia this week. Which is they have a pretty good schedule left. They have Virginia, USC, VTech, Bowling Green, Michigan, Duke.
Well, that's
not done yet.
That's cupcake then.
Navy, Boston College, and then they end with Stanford.
So Stanford could be the game that gets them in. They need Stanford to get hot then.
Yeah, because Stanford got their ass kicked against USC this week.
Yeah, so they only have that 2 ranked teams left on their schedule. Obviously, it's going to be 2, Virginia and USC.
And what are you talking about styling points? Buckeyes put up 77 points this week.
Against Miami, Ohio, bud. You need to blow out these Big Ten teams. You have an opportunity to go into Lincoln and put a statement on it. It's a Wisconsin game coming up. I mean, if you go in and only beat Wisconsin by 3, questions are raised. Is Wisconsin better than Georgia? Notre Dame went on the road to play Georgia.
Well, are you
things.
saying Wisconsin would be undefeated going into the game as well?
Yeah, into Ohio State's game, yes.
Then I would definitely.
And we could potentially play Wisconsin again in the freaking Big Ten championship.
I think the only problem Ohio State would have is if Alabama gets upset and then they style on people for the rest of the year. That's just because of who Nick Saban gets in every time.
Yeah, because they love his ass, which is stupid.
Yep, but you're definitely right. Ohio State plays Wisconsin this year.
Yeah, and then potentially in the Big Ten championship a game again.
Yeah.
Should.
More likely. That's probably what's going to happen. Who else is on the West that's any good? Iowa?
Iowa's in there.
Iowa's about the only one.
Yeah, they're the only one that could hang with them.
Really, Ohio State just has to make sure that our opponents continue to be hot. I mean, we have to make sure Michigan wins. We got to make sure Penn State wins. We got to make sure Michigan State wins.
Yeah.
And Maryland gets into top 25 again.
And that's the team that you want to see, because I'm not putting my eggs in a basket for Michigan that late in the year. Be ranked. Maryland's the team that needs to get hot before you can get back in. And then we just go thrash them.
There you go. All right, brother. Well, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Like I said, LLATC to OSU. I want that trending worldwide on Twitter. I also we have the Blue Jackets in the works, and then next week starts our circuit of bringing in somebody for the Little Larry and the Coach podcast. So I would like to have the coach kick us off with that podcast, and then maybe work on the Memphis quarterbacks coach.
Oh, hopefully, Coach has time for us.
They're in a bye week. That's something that I want to talk about. What about the people that you have? Can we have some maybe ex-Settlers players come on?
I would say probably down the road. I mean, it's football season, bud.
Well, that is it. One of the Settler players, Memphis quarterbacks coach?
Yeah, he's a coach down there in Memphis. We could probably try to get him on.
Also, here's a question.
We got Dusenberry.
Dusenberry is
Big Doug Dusenberry has been a fan of this show and has been waiting for the phone call to come on.
Well, he needs to start watching. I mean, hit that subscribe button, boys. Follow this. Tell him that. Follow this podcast. Hit that subscribe button. And get those donations out.
By the way, real quick, do you still know someone on the Whitehall coaching staff?
Yes, I do.
Who is it?
He used to be my next door neighbor.
What does he coach?
He's the offensive coordinator or defense coordinator.
Is he a big guy?
What do you mean by big? Like fat or?
Tall.
He's bigger. He used to play football. He's strong.
I bet you that was him. He's a butthole. That's who we had Friday.
Brock? I don't think.
Yeah, sure.
No, I don't think it was. I mean, Brock's probably 6 foot, maybe.
That's who we had at Academy on Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who won?
They were buttholes.
Who won?
Academy beat them, dude. Come on. You're talking about Whitehall, who's a bunch of thugs.
Well, Whitehall, didn't they make the playoffs last year?
Yeah. But all you got to do is play smart football.
Tony Overby, thank you for hitting that follow button.
Oh, Tony Overby hitting the button.
I'd like to see
looky there.
A couple more people hit that follow button.
It's probably from all those posts I shared today, bud.
Got to continue to hit them. Also,
my wife was waving at me.
Very good. One last question. Coach A. Archer had a question about something that you don't see at the Division I football level that you're allowed to get away with at the high school and the Division III level. I want to see if this is accurate. Nate Meyer, in your experience, that was one of your players, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think he was ever allowed to attend Ohio State practice and kind of hold footballs and be involved in the practices when his dad was the head coach, or even in Florida?
Absolutely. Yes.
So as a child, the coaches were allowed to bring their family and get them involved with kind of daily practice.
Yes.
Why are you laughing at this?
I know where this is going.
What? Where is it going?
You want to go with coach to a practice?
No, that was not.
Yes, it is.
If there's anything that I want one of our viewers, Scary Mofo, to be the sideline guy for Oshkosh when we're there one day. That's what I want.
Oh Lordy.
But
he don't know anything about football, Trent. He's got to learn some things.
He doesn't have to learn anything. The only thing he needs to learn is if anybody crosses that white line that shouldn't, they need to get back.
The sideline warning.
The sideline warning guy.
Yep. He could be that.
But yeah, so one of the things that Coach mentioned is he said that at the Division I and pro level, coaches weren't allowed or aren't allowed to involve their families into everyday practice, and you lose that family time.
Speaking of family time, by the way, Trent, I've been informed little PB has been listening tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
If he's been listening, I would like him to create a Twitch account and hit that follow button.
Oh, he's going to.
And I want his name to be a little PB. PB stands for Piss Boy.
Yes.
And
that is correct.
Do you want me to tell the story of how that happened?
Oh, yeah, why not? Real quick, and then we can end it.
All right, so this is the story to end the podcast. So basically, we were in Cleveland, Ohio for TJ Lyons is the GM podcast.
Bachelor party.
Bachelor party, goddamn.
Jesus.
For a bachelor party, and after a night of drinking, we had, I think, 12 guys in one hotel room.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a big suite room.
Yeah, it was a big suite. It was, it was right after an Indians game, or no?
What
were we up there for?
Sorry, no, it was the Browns game. It was during football season, winter.
Okay. And so basically we go up there, and it's about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sleeping on the bed, and I hear somebody yelling at somebody, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And didn't think anything of it, fell back asleep. Well, in the morning, we found out that little Piss Boy, I think he'll be popping up in the Twitch chat. Hopefully he hits that follow button as well. He had peed all over my clothes. And,
all over the best piece of your clothing, by the way.
Yes, and that was I had a Clippers hat that got peed on. I had a Mighty Ducks from the movie
Charlie Conway
with the Captain C on it jersey that got pissed on. Every single article of clothing other than what I was wearing had been peed on. So fortunately, I didn't have my vehicle or anything like that. We had another one of our viewers, Master Bates. He's a follower of this podcast. We get to see him once every 10 to 20 years. He's kind of like a cicada. Maybe that's his new nickname, is the cicada. Because we can see him every 7 years. But when the cicada brought his truck, so he was able to take Piss Boy with all my clothes in my bag and everything, and helped him, went to a laundromat, helped him get it all washed, thankfully. But it did weird me out to have to wear clothes that I knew had been pissed on the prior night. So that was just your birthday. I don't even think it was it your bachelor party? It was
my bachelor party, yeah.
It was. So
yeah.
So that's the story of how he got the name Piss Boy, and let's just say it made for an awkward time at the wedding. Because I don't even know his real name. He's always been Piss Boy to me.
Amen.
So, but God bless you. Very good podcast. We covered a lot of topics tonight. And like I said, plan on a Thursday or Friday podcast with the coach.
That'd be a Thursday, but
Thursday to meet the GM schedule. You got referee in. I mean, but who knows?
That's important on Friday nights.
Well, last Friday got canceled.
Yeah, I could do it live from the locker room, maybe.
With all the
wouldn't that be something? With all my gear on.
What about having another referee? Yeah,
what do you mean?
You got any good referees that would be willing to join the show?
Maybe.
Get another perspective.
I got a couple.
Very good. All right. Well, I appreciate
big week for the Indians. Let's go, baby.
All right, signing off. And as always, I want to thank Steamhammer 62. We're going to have the quietest version of the Little Larry theme song that I will have corrected by next time that we are in this that we do this podcast. But here it is, Steamhammer 62 with our intro and outro song. What the hell?
We're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna talk about sports. Things like chicken wings. It's Little Larry and the coach.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate coming out tonight.